How's everybody doing today? This is Michael Antonio. I thought I'd come on here live and discuss a little issue that I had with the situation over there in Houston with Hurricane Harvey, and a little article that I wrote up today about Joel Osteen and his Lakewood Church, the situation that's going on over there. This is Michael Antonio, and I want to talk to you about something very serious today. Did you know that every time somebody doesn't like my videos, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, that a tree falls in the forest and dies? Next time it could be your fault. So, let's not make that mistake, okay? What are you going to tell Mr. Tree back there, huh? What about him? Yeah, that's right. So, go ahead and do what I told you, all right? Subscribe and hit that notification bell at least, okay? Bye, everybody. I just wanted to let everybody know that, I read up on what was going on there with Joel Osteen and a recent interview that he had where he was explaining why he could not open his church immediately to the poor victims over there of the hurricane, the evacuees who needed a place to stay because their homes are flooded out. They got nowhere else to go. So Joel Osteen decided to come out. He was on Skype, an interview with TMZ, and he wanted to tell the interviewer what was going on with that situation. Why the actual church was not open right up after the hurricanes and the flooding. In fact, not open until I believe either yesterday or today. I mean, it took this long. And so he had to come on there and explain. Now, I got to tell you, the video to me was unconvincing. It just seemed kind of he seemed ill-prepared for the interview and for the situation in general. Now, I did get a little negative feedback from this article. In fact, someone told me that what I wrote was not true and that I was posting untruths. I was posting something that was not true about Joel Osteen and his church and what was going on there, and that other explanations had been levied. For instance, his brother, I believe, had posted that the mayor of Houston had told everybody not to go there, or not to, and that's really not what was true. That wasn't what was said. I watched the brother's interview, and essentially what the brother was saying was what everybody else knew. How the mayor was just telling everyone not to evacuate the city because of the sheer numbers, like something like 6 million people trying to leave all at once. It was just not logistically possible. I think it would have been if done properly, but that's another story. What I want to get to here is that people kind of took against me, like, what are you saying, that he didn't really want to bring people into his church and this, that, and the other? No, I don't believe that at all. I just believe I looked at it from a different angle. My angle is more of a leadership angle or a logistics angle. He did not approach it properly from that side, from a managerial standpoint. I thought the management of this entire situation was done improperly by Joel Osteen and his staff, and it was a PR disaster, to say the least. What I will do is I'm going to try to play this interview right here. I'm going to point you to the interview, to Joel's interview, and I want to show you what he said about this. And I want to preface this by saying that as of Monday, there were people that walked up to the steps of the church. By the way, no flooding in that area at all. It's high ground there, at least in the upper surfaces. There was no flooding, and all of the doors of the church were locked. Now again, with that being said, I'm not saying that he did this purposely to harm people. There was other things involved. But let me go ahead and play the interview and tell you, it just seemed a little bit uncomfortable to me, but I'm going to let you be the judge, okay? So let's take a look at that. Let's see if you can actually see this interview as well as I can. Hang on one second. I actually have to get the sound on this. I'm sorry. I apologize. I will get the sound set up for you. But I wanted to show you. And again, just while we wait here for me to actually get my crap together and get the sound on this thing right, I just want to tell you that I have nothing against Joel Osteen's ministry. I mean, it's just I'm doing this purely from a logistical standpoint, a managerial standpoint. It takes a lot to manage, probably. But see if you can.
The church is always open. We receive people when the floodwaters went down, or begin to receive here. But the convention center is 4 miles down the road, and I think a lot of people went there. But somehow they've got this false narrative on Twitter and social media that we were closed, we weren't going to receive people, and that's totally false. We were ready to receive people, and once we could get the waters down and the staff in here, we really kicked into gear. But
you're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
I don't know. You guys know social media, but I felt like this is totally false because, in 2001, we housed 3,000 evacuees. I mean, we're the largest shelter in the city, so it's not like we don't want to do it. We just got to make sure people are safe and, let people be able to come here and not be, flooded themselves.
Okay, now, I just wanted to make a comment about that in particular, okay? What I wanted to say about that is that, Joel, he says that there was flooding. No, I just want to say that, yes, there was flooding in the basement, the parking garage and the basement of the Lakewood Church there, where Joel has his church. Absolutely there was flooding available there, down in the cellar. But what I would say about that is, it was in the cellar. The upper floors of Lakewood Church were available for the evacuees if need be. I don't understand why he couldn't get his people together, his staff together, at least, and get something going a little bit earlier to kind of expedite this situation. Remember, there's a lot of people, many thousands of people who needed that space, to be able to be dry and safe and not worry about the situation there in Houston. So, what I would say is that he's to make the excuse. Well, we have to get everything in place. I understand that, but remember something. He's doing this interview now. On Monday, the flooding had receded, and there were people there going around the church. There were people there circling the church, could not get in. The doors were locked. The doors were locked all around the church, okay? So let's go back and listen to some more.
I think, Pastor, part of that narrative started because on Monday, there were people who were walking up to the church, at least the video that they posted, and they saw that they couldn't get into the church, but they were able to get to the church. And I think that's what those videos is what started it. Was there a plan all along to open at a particular time and day?
Well, the plans were fluid. It was a crazy time. We never knew it was going to be this much. So, our goal is to never turn anybody away. If somebody did, I haven't seen the video, they should not have. Anybody is welcome to come, and anybody should have been welcome to come. And if they were turned away, it was a security company or something. But understand, too, we didn't have all the staff here, and, our people work and live here as well. So it's kind of difficult all around.
Okay, all right. Now, I gotta say this. I again, nothing against Joel Osteen. I think, whatever you believe about Joel Osteen, I don't think this should necessarily paint your opinion of him based on this particular situation. But I wanted to make a comment about what he had said. He said that it was the reason why the doors were locked is a security company or something. Now, again, getting back to what I was talking about, to me this is not a religious issue of, well, did he care about the people? He says he's a Christian and he, a pastor, should he care about people? No, I don't even think we can even look at that. I think what we should do is we should look at it from the standpoint, as a manager, he is the leader of that church. As a manager of that church, was he executing the entire operation properly? Did he plan this right? Did he deal with it the right way? Now, as far as I'm concerned, if you don't even know why your doors are locked, and you're saying a security company or something, that tells me that you are practicing poor management skills at that facility. That's what it means to me. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm not trying to say that he didn't care. I don't know what his motivations were, but it just seems to me he was a little bit uncomfortable in that interview. He didn't quite know how he was going to deal with a PR nightmare of all the things that were said. Now, again, we can go back to last week when all this stuff happened. I'm not trying to say that he could immediately have people in that church. Maybe the flooding was causing problems with people getting there. Okay, maybe that was the issue, that people couldn't even get to the church early on to deal with this. And I understand that completely. But when you're talking about Monday, the waters had receded, people were walking all around there. It was available. That church was available to people, and the doors were locked, shut. As far as I'm concerned, that is a management issue. That was a poorly managed situation by Joel and by the management team there. Does that mean it's the unpardonable sin? No, not at all. I don't think it's unpardonable at all. I don't think he should be condemned for this. However, I do think he really needs to rethink his strategy for situations like this. He really needs to be better prepared for emergencies and also for dealing with the communication side of the emergency. I don't think he communicated properly. Even in this interview, it was a very poorly planned out interview. You know, to try to talk to people the way he did, it didn't seem like the explanation was good enough. I know other people try to protect him and the way it was handled, trying to say different things, but none of those things really got to the truth. And the truth is, this was improperly executed. That's all. It was just a bad logistical setup. And he needs to work on that. That's all I was trying to say. I got some negative feedback. People telling me that, maybe you shouldn't be so tough on him. Why would you say this stuff to him? He's a good man and he cares about the people and all that. That is irrelevant to this conversation. I really don't care whether he's a good man or a bad man. That's really not what I was saying. My article touched on what really happened. That's all. And then his response to what happened. That's it. I wasn't trying to say he's a terrible person or doesn't care about people. I don't know that much about Joel Osteen. I don't know. I've heard of his father's ministry many years ago. But as far as Joel, I've heard some positive things come out of him. But to be honest with you, I don't know much about him. But let me show you a video here of some people that were actually surrounding his church on Monday. This was Monday, just this past Monday. Walking around his church, and remember, the waters had receded, there was no flooding, and they could not get in. Let's take a look at that video.
You see this? This is Lakewood. I'm in the front of the church. The church is higher than the goddamn freeway. Do you see the freeway? That's the freeway. You see that 59? The Southwest Freeway. You see that car driving on it? It's not closed. This church is not closed. You see those cars? The doors are locked, but you see these vehicles? This is for the few people that's inside of here. That's inside of here because it's safe in here. You see this? Let me try to get closer. You see the inside of that? It's dry. Then the upstairs area is right there. It's dry. You see that? It only goes up. My car is parked right here. It got flood damage. My shit is damaged because I live low. You see how high this is? Let me walk on the other side. This for all the naysayers who don't have no facts. See, I'm out here trying to get facts for the people so they can go somewhere safe. There's people walking around here stranded. These doors are all locked. They all locked. It's called, you see these vehicles? These vehicles, they all locked. You see this? This entry is locked. It's locked. Do you see water inside of there? You see any water? No water. Let me walk around the entire building for the naysayers who don't have no facts. See, I be speaking facts. Y'all quick to defend something y'all don't know about because y'all don't have no facts. People tell y'all anything, y'all believe it. You see this? You see that? That's dry. See that? Dry. Let's keep going. You see this? Do y'all see any water in there? Do you see any water? It's not even at ground level. Now the garage is at ground level, but that ain't the only parking space. Here goes whole parking garage right here. Right here, no water in the garage. And the building goes up. You see this? That's the ground level. Even the ground level is dry. I'm up like 2-3 stories. You see that? That's facts. That's facts. And when y'all got
Sean Salisbury here, and I live in Houston, and I'm outside of Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church, and I know people are wondering, where's Joel Osteen in Houston? And we're going through epic floods, and people have nowhere to go. They say it's flooded here. Well, maybe in the basement, but not here. How many thousands of kids and families, even if they can't give here, at least offering, at least show you care. The millions and millions of dollars made, and the people come worship you every single Sunday. Every single Sunday. And I'm a fan of Joel Osteen, and I'm a God-fearing man. But there is ways to get here, and people right around here are suffering. I got here. I drove my truck here. There's kids out there who need shelter, and wouldn't it be nice if a man we worship would just show his face and tell us he cares?
You see this? This is Lakewood. I'm in the front of the church. The church is higher than the goddamn freeway. Do you see the freeway? That's the freeway. You see that 59, the Southwest Freeway? You see that car driving on it? It's not closed. This church is not closed. You see those cars? The doors are locked, but you see these vehicles? This is for the few people that's inside of here. That's inside of here because it's safe in here. You see this? Let me try to get closer up. You see the inside of that? It's dry. Then the upstairs area is right there. It's dry. You see that? It only goes up. My car is parked right here. It got flood damage. My shit is damaged because I live low. You see how high this is? Let me walk on the other side. This for all the naysayers who don't have no facts. See, I'm out here trying to get facts for the people so they can go somewhere safe. There's people walking around here stranded. These doors are all locked. They're all locked. This car, you see these vehicles? These vehicles, they all locked. You see that?
All right, okay. So, like I had said before, I think that I don't want to condemn Joel Osteen. I don't think this is about that. This is just about poor planning on his part. And you see what happens when you don't plan something the best you can properly? I don't know what his thinking was. Maybe he was assuming too much in this. I know somebody had mentioned to me, somebody had said, well, he has to think about his own family's safety and all these things. And, I got one thing to say about that. When you are a leader in a church, your family, although important, has to take an equal footing with your flock, with the people that you have placed in your charge, and the people in the community. You're a leader. You're somebody who is supposed to be taking care of those around you and helping them the best you can. And unfortunately, sometimes that means that even your own family has to understand that. That's what being a minister is. That's what being a leader of a church entails. And believe it or not, if you read Scripture, that's what Scripture says too. In fact, Paul the Apostle mentioned something along those lines, saying that it is better not to marry when you're a church leader, when you're a pastor in charge of a church. It's actually better not to be married because you're really supposed to be married to the church, to the people that you serve. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't be married. It just means that if you are, that your family needs to understand that there are responsibilities that you have that are going to sometimes conflict with their needs. And they're going to have to pitch in. They're going to have to be part of that process. They're going to actually have to say, Dad, you know what? We're going to help you do this. We're going to make sure that you take on the responsibility that you took on, that you decided to employ for yourself when you signed on the dotted line, so to speak, when you said, I'm going to serve mankind, and I'm going to serve God by doing that. And that's God's charge to all those who are responsible for a church. That's just the way it is, Joel. And I know, again, this is not. I'm not trying to condemn him. I'm just saying, for those who are trying to protect him you know what? You saw the videos, and you saw how it just seemed a little bit, he seemed like he was frustrated. He was not quite comfortable answering the questions. And some of his answers were very vague, and they kind of left you wondering, who's in charge of this operation? So that's what I was concerned about. And again, nothing against him. I wish nothing but the best for his ministry, that it prospers and that it helps many people, many millions of people. But on the same token, let's also hold people to the responsibility to which they held themselves to early on, when they decided, I'm going to be a leader here. He took over the mantle of responsibility from his father, and now he has got a big responsibility. He gets the rewards of it. He makes a lot of money, and he is able to enjoy the fruits of that. But you also have to pay your dues when these things come up. And I'm not quite sure he did that in this instance. But you know what? I'm going to let God be the judge. And you can make your own decisions.